Hey, what's going on? It's the Hungry Hustling American Dream Afro Man. Wake and bake, America. Yeah, you're chilling with Mr. Ashtray.
That's Mr. Trey, not Ashtray.
You're listening to Mr. Trey, and you know why. Yeah. Yeah.
Trey gonna be that old guy in sandals and khakis with a button.
I've been saying this for how long now?
I can't step outside naked.
We jumped into the river.
What did you do? Did you run
I
along
jumped
the river
in.
bank?
I let autocorrect make me look stupid on Facebook every day. With Luxembourg. I can't do it.
It's Luxembourg.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. That's what they all say.
You trying to get me to do the hump and something.
Ah!
Oh, look at you, girl.
I said it's too early.
Sexual tracking app on it. And it found that
Who is actually using that? Welcome home, gentlemen from the 4th Infantry Division, 4th ID.
Yeah. I think he was trying to be funny, but it kind of escalated.
I think he was trying to hit her on a discount. Oh!
We used to listen to FM, but they pay the same old
What's up, Mr. Trey? Your music's playing over your audio.
I know. I didn't turn it down yet. I hadn't actually cut it out yet. Producers, please cut that out. Oh, it is? I don't have my headphones on. I'm not going to lie. Let me get those on. Probably better. I think I should probably have those on. Real quick here. Before we get started, it is, of course, the Wake and Bake America show. We are back, baby. Episode 2. We don't normally do that weird thing of calling out the episode, but because we were on winter break after we did our season 8 special to reboot season 8, or to boot season 8, I should say. We did our special on New Year's Eve. So technically, this would normally be us just coming back from a normal winter break right now, but instead, a long 3-month winter break, nonetheless. It's usually right around 2 to 3 months we take in the winter. Most people don't realize that we work a lot, but we really only work about 2/3 of the year, I'd go, roughly.
It's all that football hype.
Well, okay, I work year round, but I'm on every show that's live, so that fucks me. Chris, I feel like you've been working year round this go around, though. I really
It's
do.
all good. I enjoy myself.
Yeah, you've been hanging out a lot, man.
I'm getting better at the football thing.
Dude, you really are. And, honestly, it makes it a little bit more exciting for you when you can have the Lions as part of the show, too. By the way, if you want to check out Wake and Bake America radio station football show, it's Blunt Football Talk. The Super Bowl recap show aired last week, okay? And then, of course, today, it is, of course, Wake and Bake America show. It is, of course, absolutely... we are back, baby, and we are talking about all of whatever we're going to be talking about. There's a lot going on. So there's a lot to be had. There's a lot to be talked about. There's a lot to love. And then there's a lot to maybe not love so much. I actually made that last part up. But anyway, here on the Wake and Bake America show, I just wanted to get to the first part of getting it done, if you know what I'm saying. So first I want to just point out a great documentary from MTV docuseries, okay? I just want to point this out. MTV documentaries. Yeah. Give it up. It's a great docu show. The ABCs of book banning, covering the book banning and banning of books of LGBTQ writers in America. Unjust by all means. They're human. They have a perspective too. And they're like, dude, I just watched a special about the Penguin book. Seriously, what the fuck is the big deal with the Penguin book? There's nothing wrong there. Nothing bad, nothing negative, none of it.
It's not written by a straight person.
Ah, go figure. Okay, there we go.
Or is it the color of their skin?
Well, penguins are black and white. You're stupid. I hate you.
Well,
I'm black and white and brown. That's right. I'm an Afro-Latino who's from Europe and German. Suck on that. I literally have
he's a mulatto macaroon.
They call me the guy with everyone's perspective. There you go. All right, so I want to get into so much. There's so much to cover. Our primary topics today, of course, are rescheduling of cannabis. And then our secondary primary topic today, and our other primary topic today, of course, is Trump and all his woes. Obviously, the title of today's show, America is not a kingmaker for a reason. And we're going to get into what's been going on since we've been gone since New Year's Day when we did our surprise announcement, right? So, first off, I want to get to a couple of hits for you, right? Republicans blocked their own border bill during the break. Why?
It's a political play game.
Okay, but why? Like, the Democrats actually finally conceded something on the border, and then you guys crash your own bill. Now, you could argue that it doesn't go as far as you want, but I would argue that it goes as far as it's gone in the last 30 years. You should have probably took the deal.
Let alone from a Democratic side.
Dude, it didn't even come from their side. The bill was a GOP bill.
Right. I mean, like 90% of it was GOP, but they did put some tweaks in it here and there.
Right.
And I think that's what they claim they didn't like about the bill.
I think the irony is that the objective of doing nothing as a Congress, the idea of no matter who's in that White House, as long as the work gets done, was that you? Or that was my ESPN? I'm the asshole? Okay. My bad, producers. My bad. Damn, Chris, I really tried to put that on you. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I don't watch sports like you do.
No, I get like every ESPN alert. Thanks, ESPN, for interrupting our show. We appreciate it. Now, can you give us a little money? You have more than us.
Pay us now.
We have none. We have none, so clearly that's an easy discussion. You have more money than us. Hook us up. Make us a bridge company where we're like put us in the category. Look, we're in the category of Pat McAfee. Let's just be honest. We really are. That's why I give him so much shit, because his show's so open and just real like ours. You know what I mean?
We will plug the shit out of you. Believe it.
We will. Now, let's do this. We're going to be talking about, excuse me, I'm sorry. We're going to be talking about the Republicans block the border bill. Here's what I think it is, honestly. The Republicans, there is enough of the MAGA cult on the Republican Party side right now, right? That, at least in Congress, that I don't know. I can't get off on this type of thinking, because I'm not lazy, for one, and for two, it's fucking asinine. Can I just put my true feelings out there first? Now, here are the facts. I cannot understand why you would block the best border bill you've seen in at least 30 years, and why you would block that out of spite. Now, I know why they really blocked it. Let me just get that out of the way. I understand why they really blocked it, and it's the reason that a lot of people believe they blocked it. It's not because it didn't go far enough, because there were even people like, this doesn't go far enough, but I'll fucking vote for it because it's all we're going to get.
I know.
They blocked it because, hit them, Chris.
They have nothing else to run on.
Well, I would disagree, because there are other Republican issues to run on. They're just not as racially sensitive. Maybe they're not as just easy. Listen, I'll just be honest. Those other Republican issues are not easy to get the angry, let's just be honest, the angry, either racist and or okay with racism and or okay with just creating as much problems as possible group. It doesn't get them riled up. That's the problem. Right. So I don't actually believe that. I do believe, one, yes, you are correct to a degree, but I think that what I'm about to say is the catalyst to that as well. Okay. I'm Trump. I'm trying to run on a border bill, right? Okay. I'm over here putting orange paint on my face right now. So I'm getting to character. No, just kidding. But it's actually spray tan. Just to be honest. Oh, anyway, so I'm Trump for 5 seconds, because that's about all I can handle. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, okay, I'm done. Hey, we're back, bitch. Okay, love us, hate us, we're back. I'm
only going to be a dictator for one day.
I'm only going to be a dictator for the next couple minutes while I explain this explanation. So I'm Trump, and I'm going to run on some hot button topics that really get that white nationalist base riled up, right? And if I give Biden a win, so he's telling his cohort, listen. First off, this is the Republican House of Trump right now, because how is it that they're doing what they're told to do by somebody who has not been elected to the House and is not a member of the House? So you're doing what you're told to be done. So basically, he's trying to pretend to be president by running the country via the House with one of his cohorts. Mike Johnson should have never been elected House Speaker, beyond unqualified and an extremist. You shouldn't be Speaker. That's all I'm saying.
He's literally the puppet master.
No, he's the puppet. The puppet master's that orange pumpkin guy. Anyway, so here's the deal: you can't run on the border if the best border bill in 30 years gets passed. You just can't. I mean, you can. But there will be so many commercials that make you look stupid. I don't even want to get into that part of the discussion. Right. So you can't run on the border. You can't give Biden a win. So you tell your buddies in Congress, well, let's enact that strategy. The thing is how you're going to, outside of your extreme cult-like supporters, actually, we can't say cult-like, your extreme cult supporters, let's be honest. That's very the Republican Party's become very cult-like, especially in the MAGA wing. It's very weird to me. I'm not into that shit. I'm not into Democrats either, so don't get it twisted. But you know what's funny is I say anything, and it's the first reaction I get from Republicans is libtard, and I laugh every time.
Well, here's a question for you.
Minded that you think I'm actually part of the other idiots. Gotcha.
But I mean, his followers believe everything he says. So why wouldn't he get the bill passed to help the American people and just say he passed it anyways?
Right. Say like, I told them to cooperate or something, right? I was the puppet master behind the scenes. Look, we all think it anyway. So why don't you just admit it, own it, and use it? But he can't, because it still would give Biden the win on the negotiation. Now, here's the best part. When you come back in 2 years, if you still have the House, I don't care if you win the White House. I don't believe for a second that they're going to keep the House, because the House has gotten nothing done in their control. And that's the indictment on the House. Simple and plain.
Right. But here's the thing with that is, with a lot of these states having abortion rights on the bill, Republicans have been losing left and right.
Fight for freedom. Roe v. Wade, one of my notes. So while we're here, the Dobbs decision, yes. That's going to be something that people are going to run on, because the issue the Republicans are having a hard time with is that they're saying they're the party of freedom. But what we show is that they've removed freedoms and failed to get – all they've done is removed freedoms and failed to get the job done. That's it. That's all you've done is removed freedoms in the last 4 years and failed to get the job done. And it was because you were more concerned with not working with the president than actually doing what Congress is meant to do, and that's negotiate. You have people in Congress now, GOP, that is so sad because they would rather shut the country down and do nothing for the American people, the military, claiming to be pro-military, claiming to be the people for the working party. But we know the Republicans have been in line with the robber barons since ever. So we already know that they're not for the American people. Stop it.
But they have yet to even pass a bill that would fund our government for a whole year.
Exactly. And the irony is that they talk all this smack about the prior Republican before the Trump stuff, right? The prior Republican and Democrat leaders. But the truth is, they got shit done. You didn't. So who's really the bad guy here?
Right.
This is coming out of the mouth of an independent who lives in Colorado. So I have two fucking ballots sitting in my thing, and I have to pick one side. I'm going to be voting in the Republican primary. I already said I got to do my deed against the devil. So sometimes you got to go with someone you might not agree with entirely, or even partially, or even at all, but they're just a better fucking human than the person that someone else is thinking is good, right?
Yes, and the main thing our listeners need to know is get your butts out there and vote. Your vote does matter.
It's primary season, yeah. See, that's the goal there is to make Democrats think their vote doesn't matter and to get more Republican turnout. And on the other side, I think that I see more of an initiative is don't vote for them, vote for us and still come out and vote.
I don't care who you vote for. Your vote matters in one way or another because of the way the election system is set up.
You ready for this? There's several companies in the U.S. under fire for helping create helping create AI-generated phone calls of Joe Biden telling voters to stay home.
Yeah, they're actually gonna, if they can catch who did this, they're gonna prosecute, they said.
Election interference and fraud. Yep. Wire fraud, election interference, all kinds of fun stuff because, hey, they had to pay that company to do it too. That's wire fraud. When you pay a company to commit a crime, even if that company is unaware they're committing a crime, that's wire fraud. You cannot send somebody money to commit a crime. It's wire fraud. I'm saying it one more time. You cannot send somebody money to go commit a crime, even if they don't know they're going to commit a crime for you, because it's fucking wire fraud. It's a federal wire fraud charge. The Secret Service will charge you with that, but that usually you'll get caught by the FBI because of the other charges.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, I'm telling you, I'm well adversed into how the law works, the laws, and why they work. And it's
We've had to.
It's for a reason, because I've literally had to combat so many fucking stupid people in my time in radio that I've almost started to become a subject matter expert on things in related to how the law is executed, what's done. I want to thank Trump because I have gotten a reacquisition to constitutional law like I haven't had in 20 years since school, you know? And wow, just thank you for that at least, because I've picked up so much. And it's
I don't know about you, but I definitely feel more intelligent now.
Well, that's because we study, we read, we do research, we dig in, we find out stuff, and then we read some more, and then we dig in some more, and then we research some more, and then we find something contradictory, and then we have to vet that story source or whatever. And then if it is contradictory and we vet it and it's wrong, then we point that out and call them out as liars. And then if we vet it, then we're like,
we're pretty good at smelling the bullshit.
Yeah, I got really good nostrils, man. Don't like
you know.
Hate it. All right, so 2 speakers in 2 years, the most unproductive Congress in the history of the USA. Okay, that's a lie, but at least in nearly 100 years, if not 100 years. Trump is really essentially the Speaker of the House. Okay, I got that one. We covered that one. So let's go to, Israel continues to kill civilians in Gaza. Israel and Gaza guilty of war crimes. Could both simply just be true? There's like this whole side taken, and I'm like, listen, I'm going to tell you something, my next statement, and that's Netanyahu refuses to send a delegation into Cairo this week in order to get Israeli hostages out, but still push soldiers in, which would likely result in more of his own Israeli countrymen being killed. Is Netanyahu using this terrorist act as a reason to commit Palestinian genocide?
Very possible. I mean, it's truly hard to say when you're talking about a foreign country. Well, you can't.
You drop a bomb where there are 200 civilians and 1 person that you need to catch.
Yeah, but I mean, we all know war comes with casualties no matter what we do.
200 civilians to get 1 enemy combatant? No. You could have hit me with what happened this week, which was 7 civilians were killed, but they got 2 targets, I believe. It was either 1 or 2 targets, 7 civilians that are killed. That you could tell me is the consequence of war. But when you drop a bomb on a hospital to kill 1 enemy combatant, or in a hospital parking lot where there's 200 refugees to kill 1 enemy combatant, that's not just kindness. That's not just criminal. That's a war crime.
I agree with you, but I mean, what they need to do is come up with a different strategy to catch these people. I mean, obviously there's going to be more military casualties, but that's what the military's for.
Dude, could you imagine if we dropped cluster munitions on Iraqi civilians to kill 1 fucking, insurgent? Holy fuck, dude. The war tribunal, we would have to send our own somebody to go face for doing that, and we would?
Right.
Because it would be a war crime, right?
But that's why our targeting is more specific, though.
So that's what I'm saying is that Netanyahu is doing anything to kill people, not to target people. That's the problem. He's not doing anything to actually what we call surgical execution of missions, but basically what America had to do in like Afghanistan and Iraq. Because we didn't want to hurt civilians and look like the bad guy when we were trying to hunt down terrorists. That's the truth. We didn't want to look like the bad guy.
Right. Even though civilians are lost no matter what you do, there are ways to. Right. Minimal casualties.
The whole like world peace, Geneva Convention, NATO, UN, all of that. The whole commitment. When you commit to striking a country, you commit to invading a country, and you
My bad.
You can't help that though. When you commit to taking on a country, right? I think that the reason all of these entities exist is so that we play by rules. And even if your enemy can't play by rules, you will. The problem with Netanyahu is he is a war hawk. He is a war criminal, and his own countrymen are already trying to get there's protests that are going to, well, it's already tonight right now in Israel, sorry, but there's protests tonight in Israel about wanting to force the leader out via an election. Like it's very bad. He's not willing to really negotiate. He has this all or nothing mentality. And one thing that we all know in war is that we had to look, guys, we still had to sit down and negotiate with the Japanese. We didn't get all or nothing. In World War I, we had to sit down with the Germans and negotiate, and had to sit down with our allies and negotiate. Guys, when wars are happening and when they end, even the loser still gets to have a seat at the table, even if they're deplorably horrible and you can't stand them. They still have a seat at the table in respect to representation for whatever it is that gets settled, right? You're not Israel's plan is to wipe Gaza off the face of the strip. That's Netanyahu's words, right?
Yeah, it's like he's going to bulldoze Gaza and just clean everything up and move in.
You can't just push the people of Gaza into Israel and take the land. It doesn't work that way. You don't have that right.
He's almost pulling a Putin.
See, and that's the problem is more and more civilians getting killed. And what you're seeing is that more and more countries, including now Canada, Australia, countries that had our back, we're like, yeah, hey, you need to stop it. Here's some more weapons and money, though. And while I don't disagree with supporting the side that didn't start it, I'm going to put it that way, okay? Now, look, Gaza, you can say that Israel started it 100 or 1,000 years ago, but you have to understand for the rest of us that are logical thinkers in the world, we don't give a fuck. We're talking about right now who started it back in October, okay?
Right.
Gaza started it, right? So Israel went in there, did a bunch of shit. The hostages aren't given back yet, but Netanyahu's not negotiating for the hostages. He's just keep on trying to kill. That's what concerns me. Does that make better sense? Because I don't take sides. I'm not taking sides in this. The Hamas terrorists that went into Israel should have their heads lopped off, quite frankly, if you ask me. However, at this point, I believe that Netanyahu I'm not going to say may. I believe Netanyahu should stand trial for war crimes in Europe. I think he should be taken to Europe and stand trial for war crimes, and here's why. But I also think the same thing for every one of those Hamas terrorists that get captured and not killed, right? I think the same thing about them. They should be taken and put on trial for war crimes. You attack civilian populations, that is a war crime. But right. I believe that Netanyahu is equally as guilty of war crimes. Now, I do want to move on because we can come back to that on another day if you'd like to. Just let me know.
Yeah.
I want you to say your piece, and then I want to move on, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's done Gaza a terrible injustice, without a doubt, because, I mean, he has this
justice because you went from being the righteous soul to now being equally as criminal.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, they all should go on trial, no doubt about it.
And I want to repeat to all Israelis and all Palestinians, I don't give a fuck about your beef. I don't. Your beef is causing world terror. I don't care about your beef. The Gaza people deserve to have their own water, food, ports, borders, and supplies. And the Israelis deserve to not have fucking Hamas hurl rockets at them.
Yep.
Here's a thought, Israel and also Gaza people. I'm not talking to Hamas because they don't believe they believe in terrorism, not peace as well. They're no different than than Netanyahu, which is why I'm not talking to him. I'm talking to the people of Israel, and I'm talking to the people of Gaza who aren't affiliated with these two terrorists in my eyes, because they're both terrorists in my eyes. You're terrorizing civilians in order to kill one person. You're a fuckboy. Sorry, dude. Like I told you, the worst example is like nearly 200 people killed, and they literally only killed one Hamas operative. Like, bro, you can't get away with that on the world stage. I'm sorry. That's just unacceptable. But anyway.
You sure wouldn't think so.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. But anyway, so like I said, I do want to move on from it, but I just want the Israeli people and the Palestinian people to no, I don't give a fuck about your beef from 1,000 years ago or even 100 years ago. Here, I'll give you better, or even 10 years ago. Y'all been fucking with each other, and finally it boiled over. Israel, you don't have the right to the Gaza Strip. Gaza, you don't have the right to Israel. Shit done been settled for long enough that I don't want to hear your fucking shit anymore. Get over it. But the people of Palestine, literally, the Israeli people make the people of Palestine depend on them for like electricity and water flow and stuff like that. So I just need to point out that I think that when the UN peacekeeping forces come in and help Gaza rebuild, I think they need to rebuild Gaza to be self-sufficient.
Absolutely.
Because right now, I could argue that the Palestinian people have been terrorized forever because their electricity and water flow is turned on and turned off as Israel sees fit. You understand what that means? Could you imagine Canada just saying, I'm shutting off America's electricity and water at 9 o'clock tonight? If you don't like it,
or the flow of oil.
Yeah, and get the fuck over it. Flow of natural gas to heat our houses, whatever. And get the fuck over it. And here's what you can do about it. Shut the fuck up. Now, I just implore people to remember, as an American, like what that means over here. Like, even if you think, if you hate Hamas, if you hate Israel, I could care less. These are human for the real population of this country. These are humans, and on both sides. I implore you to just consider that. Would you be okay with Canada deciding when or Mexico deciding when our gas, oil, water, and lights can flow? Would you be okay with that? And if your answer is yes, then I think you need to leave America.
Right.
If your answer is no, then I think I just opened your mind to why you shouldn't take sides on this, because it isn't clean, clear, cut, and dry. If you really want to bring the history into it, they've both been terrorizing each other forever. And both of them think they have a right to this quote unquote holy land that, while I don't prescribe to your religion, so I don't give a fuck. It's not holy to me. It means nothing to me. You're fighting over dirt and you're murdering civilians over dirt, and then you're blaming it on your God. Well, then your God sucks, dude.
Right.
And I'm not even being a dick about it. Your God sucks. Your God, hella not cool. Because your God's cool killing kids, innocent women and men, and old people. God's not cool. And they're like, well, their God's not cool either. And I'm like, I think you might be talking about the same fictitious person, personally. Just personally speaking. I think you're talking about the same fictitious person.
Yep.
I want to say that one more time, actually. I think you're talking about the same fictitious person. People killing people in the name of something they can't prove it actually exists. They can't show me anything that proves it actually exists. And there's religious scholars out there that, I'll show you this miracle. Were you there?
Right.
People lie. You want
You
me to show
have video?
You want me to show you people lie? I watched a former president, lie through his teeth, get a literal mob to go try to kill House and Senate representatives and the vice president. When I tell you people lie, I watched it happen, and we're here to cover it. So let's move on. The feds have charged a man, a 43-year-old man by the name of Alexander Smirnov, in lying and providing false evidence and false statements in the process of getting the president and the current President Biden impeached. So, first off, nice Russian name. Just got back into the country. Wink, wink. But anyway, so this he's a 43-year-old man. He's been charged with lying to the federal government and lying to the feds and lying to like the FBI in an investigation. He's currently locked up in federal custody, and he's going to court this week. And by the way, I just want to point out that the evidence that specifically that he presented is the evidence that the GOP used to start the impeachment on Biden. Now, the one thing that I knew about Trump was that the Democrats had real evidence, because I watched, heard, and saw the president do those exact things. There was no way to hide it.
Right. It was obvious. It was clear as day. I mean,
it was clear as day because he did it right in front of us on camera. That was his mistake. He did it on phone calls because he thought, I don't know if he just didn't realize that presidential phone calls are recorded. And then more importantly, he's on a stage sending a mob down to go kill politicians. It is clear what he did. So those impeachments, I never had a problem with them. I think that the GOP failed us because we probably should have put this to bed right then and there. But I also think that the cabinet members should have invoked the 24th Amendment and removed this Yahoo and barred, and then the Congress, House, and Senate should have all barred him from ever running again. Because so what we've done is we did nothing to the toddler that threw a tantrum because he couldn't have his way. We did nothing to him, and so now he's throwing a tantrum again.
Yeah, he's good at it, though.
Shocker. I got a pissed off toddler. It's called my grandson and me. And I'm like, oh, you're mad? Oh, boo-hoo, go get in the corner. And that's what they failed to do. Thank you. I appreciate when you co-sign my stuff, but I could care less if you agree with me. What? Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. I hate our producer. Who you back, fucker? Anyway, Alex Navalny murdered in a Russian prison recently. Of course, Alex Navalny, the most outspoken critic of Putin. We believe Putin was behind who orchestrated the poisoning of Alex Navalny 2 times, guys. And while his health was deteriorating, he was murdered, which means he wasn't supposed to die yet, at least.
Well, I imagine if you get poisoned a couple of times, you're not going to be doing so good.
Now, can I point out a timeline for you? Because you know I love a timeline because it makes an investigation valid, does it not? Does it not?
Absolutely. 100%.
God damn it, I love you. All right, so I love a timeline because a timeline makes an investigation valid, right? Look at the Russian election timeline, okay? And that's where we go. We have to pause for a hellified countdown because I'm about to break out the fucking timeline. Is it the timeline time?
Timeline.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The timeline. Before we get into Trump and rescheduling and the rest, or before we get into the rest of Trump's legal stuff that went down over the last couple of weeks while we were gone, I do want to get to the timeline of murder and the timeline of the Russian election and prove to you that Putin's just killing anyone who is a real challenge to him. Prigozhin's plane gets blown up right after he starts marching his troops to Moscow to take on Putin. Then he goes to visit with Putin to settle the beef, per se. He takes off on a plane, and within minutes of the plane taking off, it appears to be an explosion near the back of the fuselage. Fuselage is just technical term for where you fucking sit in the plane, guys, if you want to know the truth. But anyway, the explosion out the fuselage, and then the plane goes down. Then, by the way, the Russian election timeline is that the elections are in a month, less than a month now, or actually a month from now, actually. I think they're on the 18th of March or something in Russia, okay? So there, boom. Biggest threat that's walking free out in the world, gone, right? Biggest political threat, been in jail this whole time, murdered a month before the elections. Now, Putin, former KGB officer, right? Former KGB operative and officer, right? That is old school spy tactics. Get rid of anyone that can challenge you.
Go back to James Bond shit.
That's my timeline is. Within a year of the Russian election, his 2 most formidable potential challengers disappear. His military challenger and his political challenger dead.
Now, we have to remind our listeners, this is what dictators do.
Dick, being the key operative of a dictator. Let's do this. We need to take a break. I'm scanning my notes. I'm like, yep, we covered everything but that. And then you have your story for the weed. We're good. Let's take a quick break because we're on a timeline, obviously, because it's a show. We got to keep it within the but we're on a timeline. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break because when we get back, we really do need to take on like what we just have to cover, like basically what's been going on with Trump while we were gone legally, because there's some big things that just recently happened and I think can change some stuff. Okay. And then there was something else that I think could, I don't want to say help, but could change some stuff. So let's do this. We're going to take a break. That's what we're going to do. We'll be back.
Hey, it's your girl, Cammie, Renee, and you're listening to Wake and Bake America Show. You know I bring you the best.
We're smoking.
No, I'm a good girl. I'm in a relationship. My boyfriend, he actually just popped the question, what's your name again? Delight. No. We did move in together. That is true. We moved in together recently, and I've been thinking a lot about, like, getting engaged. You know, I came up with a theory, though. I think you need a diamond on your finger. I think you need something sparkly just to, like, stare at and focus on, you know, because I think marriage is a lot like being on magic mushrooms. Just like 99% of the time, you're like, oh, I hate this. What's happening? And then you're like, oh, prism. And it just makes you feel so much better. I sound very cynical. I do want to get married, but I'm afraid of marriage because I'm afraid of divorce, you know? It's like, what if we never get one? You know, it's like, kill me. So long.
Hey, what's happening? What's happening? It's your boy Bubba Sparks. If you didn't know prior to this moment, you better know for sure. Anytime I'm rolling through Colorado Springs, I'm checking out Wake and Bake America. How could you not be listening to Wake and Bake? Holding it down with Cammie, Renee, and Mr. Trey. All the way, twice on Sunday. Y'all probably ain't on Sunday, but it's all good. Y'all should be.
Don't copy me.
All right, it's time to have that talk. Yeah, I'm talking to you, homeowner. Don't you try to run away, townhome renter and apartment renter. Look, every time we move, they charge us a ridiculous amount of money. Every time you need something remodeled, those people charge you a ridiculous amount of money. So this time, when I moved, I got my whole deposit back. Now, I can't promise you the same results, but what I can tell you is I went through Quality Peak Customs. That's right. That's handyman and remodeling. And at Quality Peak Customs, they're going to take care of you the best they can to help you get the best job you can. So whether it's moving out, needing your apartment brushed up for the handover, your townhome, you want to rent that out, you need it fixed up for the big remodel, hey, that house. When's the last time you've done something? Well, when you do it, why don't you call Quality Peak Customs at 719-964-6871. That's 719-964-6871. You can also email Quality Peak Customs at qualitypeak.customs@gmail.com for your free quote today. You can check out Quality Peak Customs on Facebook as well. Let's go with Quality Peak Customs for your next move, your next remodel, or the next time you need a helping hand around your home.
Are you troubled by pop culture references in the middle of the night?
Do you or a loved one experience feelings of dread finding collectibles in your attic or basement?
Joey, have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up your phone and call the professionals. Control, alt, throw against wall.
Our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve all your mind-numbing needs. We're ready to believe you.
Look, everybody loves creativity, good food, and hard work. That's why it's so easy to love Sam's Creations. Sam's Creation is award-winning cannabis food creations. Find Sam's Creations on Facebook and Instagram with Sam's with a Z, Creations with a Z. Or place your order today at 719-283-1701.
This is your station. I like this right here. The People's Station. Monuments, Falcon, and Colorado Springs.
Here comes the heat, y'all.
Trey gonna be that old guy in sandals and khakis with a belt.
I've been saying this for how long now?
I can't step outside naked.
We jumped into the river.
What did you do? Did you run
I
along
jumped
the river
in.
bank?
I let autocorrect make me look stupid on Facebook every day. With Luxembourg. I can't do it.
It's Luxembourg.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. That's what they all say.
You trying to get me to do the Humpty and something.
Ah!
Oh, look at you, girl.
I said it's too early.
Sexual tracking app on it. And it found that
Who is actually using that? Welcome home, gentlemen from the 4th Infantry Division, 4th ID.
Yeah, I think he was trying to be funny, but it kind of escalated.
I think he was trying to hit her on a discount. Oh!
You used to listen to FM, but they pay the same old
Yeah!
excited to be back. God, you know, I hate comeback shows. I'm not going to lie, though. I hate it. It's great for the fan because we're back.
Smoke them if you got them.
Oh, I was smoking the whole night. I was puffing. But anyway, I was puffing that. But no, but seriously, dude, like every damn comeback show, it's always a bunch of hoopla about, you know, all the damn news and everything. And so it takes half the damn show to just get caught up on what the hell is going on.
Yeah, we took a pretty sizable break, so I mean, who knew that was going to happen?
Does every comeback show. That's why I hate them. But the fans love them because the fans know we've been paying attention. Shout out to Santos from the Fantasy Football League checking in. I knew sending him the link would be a good idea. And by the way, another news headline during the break, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. Congratulations to them. Super Bowl back-to-back champions. Good for you guys, baby. Patrick Mahomes, dynasty, and the living GOAT. I like to say living because he's an active player. So he's the living GOAT. He's an active GOAT. Whereas like Tom Brady was the active GOAT until he retired. Well, he was just the GOAT.
The Swifty Sweep.
The Swifty Sweep. Coming up this fall, the Swifty three-peat. Can they three-peat? That's a great question. I think so, but I think that we'll find out come the draft and free agency. Fun fact. Let's move to the next little headline, and that is this. Ready for this? I'm going to go through these headlines, and then we got to talk about descheduling, okay? Because that's the real topic of today. It's descheduling. But so the title of today's show is "America is Not a Kingmaker." Our first primary topic is the D.C. court ruled it unanimously, nonetheless. That's the important part. But the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals voted unanimously that Trump does not have presidential immunity when conducting political or personal acts. And that's what he was doing. They also said sending a mob, an angry mob, they basically in a nice way said sending an angry mob to the Capitol steps to interrupt the transfer of powers is not anywhere in your presidential duties, homie.
So no.
But I'm going to tell you right now that the court that already, there's a court that ruled that his White House chief of staff wasn't acting in a White House fashion, but was working in a political, personal fashion for Trump. That ruling is part of right here where they're like, yeah, it's already been ruled that what you guys were fucking doing was not actually anything presidential and was unbecoming of the White House and had nothing to do with it. That was your
talking about Meadows?
They were talking about your, yep. I love that you pay attention. I heart you. So, and then I think that we have to kind of lean into the other part that the New York State has ruled that Trump must pay $350 million for tax fraud case, and all the other charges related to that. Does this continue to unmask Trump that he's not this great magical businessman, and do his followers finally catch on that it's all shenanigans?
Maybe, or he's definitely not worth as much as he claims.
Guys, when you're in trouble everywhere, now listen, even I had to check myself once in my life or twice in my life, or even maybe yesterday, you never know, that if the issue keeps happening everywhere you go, at some point, you become the only common denominator, okay? So in self-reflection, you know I meditate a lot, I self-reflect. Hey, our listeners are going to learn something from this. At least that's cool, right? When I meditate, I want you guys to know that I self-reflect on only things I've done, only things I can do better, and only things that I can change. Do you understand what I mean by that? That is a very grounded, profound thing to just think about only, okay? So you can't go in there and go, and yeah, it's really about accountability to restructure your thinking and change how you respond, act, and react to stuff, right? Whatever. So when I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm like, okay, let's just give you a good example, Chris. I got in trouble because someone got an attitude with me, right?
Yep.
Or did I get in trouble because I got an attitude with them? So you have to ask yourself the question. If someone gets an attitude with you, this is just, I want to use a very naked example that anyone can use. Anyone's been through this, right? So that's why I'm using this. if someone cops an attitude with you and you don't respond, then yeah, they are definitely the problem. But the minute you respond, you're the problem, right? So I think about Trump not having that grounded way of thinking. So for instance, if everywhere I go, people get an attitude with me, maybe I might be the problem. Now, I'm not saying I am or I'm not. I'm benign to it, right? But I want to consider it. I think that that's the lack of thinking that people who literally always play the victim. Like, there may be something structurally wrong with your circumstance, but you may not actually be a victim either. You know what I mean? And that's why I like the argument reaction example, because someone gets snippy or cops an attitude with you. If you cop an attitude back, you may now have validated situations because you may be part of the problem too. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So anyway, $350 million fraud case. Trump can't practice business in New York. The D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that Trump can stand trial. And I do believe in the thing I was reading, the word citizen Trump was in quotes in the ruling. I just wanted to point that out, because when you put something in quotes, it's very profound that it's in that for a reason. It's there for a goddamn reason. More importantly than the whole sentence, right? And so use the word citizen Trump can stand trial. And I think that's because of, again, the Meadows ruling. And right now, you aren't a president, so you're not protected by presidential immunity, was what the ruling was. Of course, the former president does have the right to appeal it, and they already have. While we were on break, they did already put in their appeal because they only had a certain amount of time to appeal it. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll keep you up on it. Now, Chris, unless you got something else on those two things that kind of went down pretty recently, I'm going to move on and I want to talk about descheduling, because this is something that we've been on for so long. Like, I feel like we've been doing this our whole lives.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not much different than when we been campaigning for decades to legalize cannabis.
I agree, actually. I mean, so we'd been working since I think 2000 was the first time we ever had it on the ballot. I think Cali had it on their ballot in 96 for medical. And then we got it on our ballot in 2000 for medical. I was still a teen, but I will tell you that I voted for it, even though I wasn't even a medical patient at the time or even qualified to be one, right?
Right, but it affected you down the road.
Smoke me my dollars. But I'm a forward thinker. Now, I largely avoid using the word progressive thinker, because anytime you use that word, they always think that you're talking about the extreme left of the Democratic Party or even just the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. No, I can use words and them not be political words. I'm a progressive thinker in the mindset of I do really think progressively, down forward. You know, I'm not trying to keep things the old way. I rarely look back except for data, but I never try to go backwards. People in my mind that try to go backwards in the thinking of the world, the country, ideals, humanity, all that, I just don't vibe with that shit. Because if you look, the further you go back, the worse humanity gets, right? Let's be honest. You go back 50 years, humanity sucked more than it does now. You go back 100 years, humanity was fucking horrible. You go back 1,000 years, humanity was fucking deplorable. You go back 5,000 years, humanity was fucking bleh. I don't have a word for it. It's just bleh, whatever word that is. And don't say throw up, because I just want the sound to be the word. You get what I mean?
Disgust.
Bleh. No, I said I use a word. But yeah,
all right.
My point is this. Is that I'm a progressive forward thinker. And so when that happened in Colorado, I thought forward and said, what if you ever need medical cannabis? Because, you know, you've already got a knee injury. And while you're a young buck and out just getting it still, what if you fuck your knee up, though?
True that.
And then maybe you need a little cannabis for it. So I voted for it. That's all I'm saying, really. When I look at bills, I'm like, does this only benefit a little bit, people? Like, I'll tell you right now, this is why I think people were so fucking dumb about the 2017 tax code change. Because I was like, yeah, that's the carrot and the bait right there. Right now, you're going to probably get a good tax return this year, next year. But wait until like 2023, 2027. That's what I really said. Well, now we're there, and every year I'm paying taxes now.
Surprising how that works, huh?
Yeah, but I used to actually get a return. And I want you people to understand that I only claim one myself independently. That's it. And I'm still paying, even though they're taking out chunks of my check. I'm still paying. And I don't understand it because I pay my taxes in the year via taking out my check. And so I'm like, does my work not take out enough? Who's fucking up in the accounting department?
Right.
Sure, let me walk home with like $600 or $700 that the feds say they want. Sometimes $1,000. I'm like, fuck. Put in that payment plan, bitch. All right. Anyway, anybody who's ever had taxes knows what I'm talking about right there, though, for real. So let's get back on track here and on topic with rescheduling. So I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not entirely a fan of rescheduling, but I think I'm more, so cannabis is complicated when it comes to the scheduling of cannabis, right? I'll just be honest with you. And the reason why is because I don't believe it shouldn't be unscheduled. I'm going to be very frank with you, okay? I don't believe it should be unscheduled. However, and I don't believe it should be down at the level of alcohol, because so think about alcohol's image. You get fucked up, you go drink and drive, you kill people. So treat it like alcohol, I think that worked. Don't get me wrong, that worked early on, right? That worked early on because we were trying to sort of, honestly, I'll just be real with you. We were trying to desensitize and condition adult thinkers to understand that it was as harmless, if not less harmless, than alcohol. And now we've proven it's less harmless, I'll be honest with you, less DUIs. And what I mean is they're not catching people stoned while they're driving. They're catching people who've been stoned for weeks or whatever, right? But they are not catching people that are stoned while they're driving. A lot of the times they're catching somebody, they see a little seed, a little crumb, they piss them. You could have smoked 30 days ago and you're still going to piss hot, by the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You only stay smoking for a couple hours, roughly, unless you keep smoking, right? From the last time you got intoxicated, 2 to 4 hours is as long as you're going to be stoned. That's it. Unless it's edible, right? That's it. So the reality is if I didn't smoke within the last 4 hours, a lot like drinking, I'm not wasted going home now. I've sobered up, as they say.
I think this whole cannabis rescheduling has to happen in layers because, first of all, we need scientific research on cannabis we have an educated, in-depth look at this so that we have proof, good or bad.
I agree.
Because, ultimately, that's going to be key.
I agree. And so here's where the dilemma comes from, right? Because when I think about the rescheduling of cannabis, then I have to ask myself, like, hey, if we're going to reschedule this, right? Okay, so let me explain. It cannot stay where it is. First off, let me just stop there. Because the DEA's own report says it's a lie. Just for the people who just don't care about this part of the law, and that is how things are scheduled. If you're just short on the concept of it now, like, listen, people in Cali, like Santos who checked in, people like you and I that are in legal states, we understand the concept of scheduling, right? But when I think about the concept of scheduling cannabis, you can't leave it where it is, because where it is essentially the problem.
One of the biggest problems with the whole deal. They need to at least bring it down to a 2 so they can be scientifically researched in these colleges.
Indeed. And I think that's so first thing is, when you say something has no scheduling value, or excuse me, when you put something at Schedule 1, let me start over. I'm sorry, I lost my track there. When you put something at Schedule 1, you are declaring by way of law, science. I'm not so sure about science early on, to be honest with you, but technically speaking, okay, we have to go technical terms here, right? They're declaring by science, right? When you put something as a Scheduled 1 drug, in its form or state, it has no medical value and there's no reason to allow research, right? The problem is that drugs have been put on Schedule 1 prior to any research being done, as in marijuana, there was no real scientific research to see if there was any real medical value to it, right? They basically smoked out a bunch of monkeys and they killed them with carbon monoxide poisoning, really. They basically put them on a bong mask and didn't let them breathe. And then they're like, oh yeah, they went brain dead. You fucking think you cut off oxygen to their brain, you dumb fuck? Like, dude, I did not really do well in certain sciences that would involve, let's just say, a monkey per se. And even I fucking know that.
Right, and you look at the history of when cannabis became, like, deplorable in America, it was shortly after alcohol prohibition had fell out, and they had nothing else to criminalize people for.
And you know, it's funny, you're right, because all the marijuana Stamp Act stuff started right after the alcohol prohibition was lifted, or right around there.
Oh yeah, not shortly thereafter, for sure.
Listen, it's like anything, just like we were talking about, you know, what's his face needing something to campaign on. The prohibition people needed something to campaign on.
Yep.
And what easier than to go, let's campaign on dirty Mexican weed. And I want to tell you that I fault American politics for their racial bias towards Hispanic heritage people. First off, I fault you for that, America. But I don't fault you, and I fault you for using weed as like as the catalyst for that. Okay, I just want to say that before I say I don't fault you for being pissed off at Mexico, the country, after Hitler sent them a letter that said, if you invade, America, I'll hook you up. I'll leave you the fuck alone. A lot of people don't know that little tiny piece of American history, so that's a fun piece to share. It really is a fun piece to share. Because you remind people that there is a, how do you say it? You remind people that there's, so for instance, the Germans in during the World War I, they sent a letter to Mexico, say, hey, if you invade America, we'll hook you up. Because they wanted to keep America out of Europe in the war, even in World War I. That's always been a concept, is keep America out of war, right? And so it just blows my mind that they used pot prohibition because they had nothing to campaign on once alcohol prohibition was lifted. So they were like, fuck it, we'll make the people of Mexico look bad, blame weed on them, say it has no value, smoke out some monkeys and brain kill them. And now here we are talking about in a lab nonetheless, right? With joints, people, like basically cannabis cigarettes.
Yeah, some of the crudest testing you could possibly think of.
If they were going to test this, that, or the other, they wouldn't smoke us out to do it and let us go brain dead, guys, right? Like, they wouldn't do that. You understand? Like, you have to understand the concept of literally putting a mask on a monkey and pumping in marijuana cigarettes at, like, literally the rate of what would be, like, one of us smoking, like, a joint per, like, 5 seconds. You'd literally suffer. I call it suffocate, and Cammie yells at me for that. One of our executives yells at me every time I call it suffocate, because I think she says it's suffa, and I'm like, it's suffer. You suffer. It's suffocate.
Dying from lack of oxygen.
You suffer, Kate.
Right.
It's that's my explanation. I just want you to know that she fucking despises that as my explanation. But anyway,
I mean, ultimately, I think what we have to realize that it's still going to be probably quite some time before we can even get the DEA to pull their heads out of their asses and do this properly so that they can either prove or disprove.
I could not agree more. Suffocate. I think it is suffa. So maybe I just need to say it more swaggy, like, and cool, suffa. You go suffocate. You're gonna suffer. You're gonna suffer. I'm telling you. We're getting a correction from the producers. The amount was actually $354 million. I mean, I said 350. Who, what's a few $4 million between a few friends? Just kidding. I wish I had a quarter of a $4 million. Just one. Buy a house.
I'll take 1%.
A couple brand new cars. Give one of my kids the old Rover. The old Rover. Yeah, people think I have a fancy car until they realize that it's literally like 22 or, not 22. I'm so stupid. It's 12 years old though. But she keeps on ticking, and I just keep on putting on parts that do wear.
Right. You're going to have that no matter what.
Wear parts are stuff like, thermostats, fuel pumps sometimes will go out. And if you can, now my car, the fuel pump went out one time. Good God, I had to put it in a shop because it's not cool. It's not cool.
Right.
Whoever designed that car, not cool, bro. Not cool.
They don't design any car to be cool.
No, not to work on. Because
no, not at all.
Has all the stuff he needs, so he doesn't give a crap where you put it. And he charges by the hour, so the harder you make it, the more he can charge you.
Right.
So back to rescheduling. So I think when I talk about rescheduling, so here again, back to my issue with the whole scheduling process. It was first off put at the top tier, said it had no medical value, so there was no need to do research. That's the first of many problems with the situation, okay? Now, to add to that, right? Without real good, decent research, they tried to say, because see, you're not supposed to put it there until you do research. So they do botched research, then put it there. That's the bottom line, right? And this all goes back to World War I and how they blamed it on the Mexican weed, right? The Mexican weed fear. It's so funny because that stigma came from World War I because a lot of politicians during the 1930s were people who came back from fighting the Germans, who we went there because they betrayed us and sent a letter to Mexico to invade us. People do not know how deep I go down that rabbit hole of history. But all that stuff is called, it's not like, while one is not directly related to the other, it's chain reactionary result. That's what it is.
And it's been proven that they gave some of their soldiers methamphetamines and all kinds of crazy drugs.
Shit. So did the Japanese too. The Japanese, I believe, were the ones that developed amphetamine. But anyway, and they used to give it to their pilots because then they could, because flying in the Pacific, you're going to be literally stuck stuck 10, 3, 5, depending on the size of the plane, whatever, hours, 12 hours in the air flying, refueling in flight, carrying the fuel on the plane, refueling in flight, right? And so, for those of you that don't understand historical military planes, they didn't have fuel tanks in their wings and fuselages. The fuel was usually in containers, literally on the plane, and guys would be in the back just filling up the actual gas tank as they were flying. Some planes were literally built like that.
As flak flies by.
Well, and what it is that, like, if you had fuel in the wings, oof.
Oh, yeah, even more dangerous.
Flak would be bad. At least if you keep it to a very small part of the plane, concentrated area of the plane, if it takes that hit, yeah, you're fucked. But it's usually towards, in those old days, they would keep it towards the back of the plane. Because if
your odds are better.
Well, so that way if it blew up, it wouldn't kill the forward flight crew and they could have time to bail and get out, and full shoot. Yeah, you're going to
maybe,
but you get to live.
Maybe.
I say it like it's actually that easy when I am just a student of history and have never had to go to war. Although I will tell you, I've had many family members, cousins, friends, father, stepfather, people go to war. And and I will tell you that I've never repeated or took what they've said with a grain of salt ever, because I have never had to go. I tried to go, to be fair. I mean, I don't want to disparage my own patriotism. I tried to go, but a high school injury was like a no-go for me. They're like,
you too.
Or no-go for liftoff. That knee is not okay for us. And I was like, dude, I play basketball and do crazy shit every day. I snowboard, bruh. Let me go. Right. And they're like, no, sir. No, sir. But anyway, I think it was just how early I had the injury. They were like, you're already got years on it when you're trying to come in. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, because they're going to beat you up even more.
Yep. So, with that said, my dude, I think that rescheduling is, so here's the thing is, I think it has to be scheduled because if they schedule it too low, Chris, we can't use it as medication.
Right. That's why I was saying they need to bring it down to at least a 2 so that research can be done. It can still be used as a medicine. And when they do prove that it's good for all these different ailments and everything else.
Chris, why 2 when they're trying to do it for 3?
Well, because see here, 3 will go too far, I think. Off Jump Street.
Okay.
Because plus it'll take longer because you move it to 3 and then they're going to have to consider all the laws that each state has passed.
Who gives it federally mandated, I'm assuming?
Right. It gets it federally mandated to, it can be at least researched in colleges, by pharmacies or pharmaceuticals, because you know darn well they're going to get their hand into it.
See, this is why we really do need a federal bill passed by the House, Senate, and signed by the president, because I think that you need to look, like, for instance, we don't want the scheduling to end Colorado's recreational bill because we don't want to ruin what they've done and done very productively, actually, and created hundreds of thousands of jobs. But we don't want to screw that up around the country, right? So we don't screw that up. So
right, I think bringing it to a 3 would ultimately harm the recreational industry in all these states.
That's what we don't want to do. So and this is why I trust your research. When you do your job, I love it because I know that I'm going to be like, okay. And I'm glad I didn't look into it because this is where I get the shock value. By the way, I've read the scheduling laws, but guys, I just want to be clear that I took literally a year off from this show and have not read the scheduling laws in at least that long back or further. So I may have forgot a few things, not gonna lie. I'm a marijuana legal junkie. Yeah, I am a political junkie. So the marijuana politics is what fascinates me, and that's why I said we need a bill. We need a bill that says, because this way the bill can go for the states that have what they have, they can keep what they want. For the states that want to change, they can change if they want. But in the meantime, the states that don't want to change don't if they have to, if they don't want to. However, they have, every state, no matter what state, has to allow research on college campuses and at least at federal buildings, because that's a federal building. You can't tell us. Like, a state cop cannot walk into a federal building and arrest anyone without getting past the federal security. You see where this is going, right? Like, right. Oh, yeah. You literally have to have a warrant. Like, you can't come in there and do anything about what they're doing in the federal building. It's none of your business. So, and honestly, I feel vice versa too. At the state level, if they wanted to do the research themselves in a state building, I don't believe that the Fed should be able to just march in there and start handing out warrants or nothing.
Right, and that's what O2 will bring it to. You could actually open a business to do specific research on cannabis.
Fuck the scheduling. What about the bill from Congress and the House that would actually overrule even the DEA? Because remember, once it becomes law, all the DEA can do at that time is follow the law, right? So if they pass a bill in Congress, send it over to or in the House, send it over to the Senate. The Senate passes passes it, and then the president signs it. And at that point, it can even stay in there like states that have it can continue to have it, states that don't continue to don't. So we want to make that transition but we want to study it federally. You want to study it at a state, you're okay. And any college that receives federal grant money, wink, wink, almost every college receives federal grant money, bro. And the reason they do is because federal loan programs. So if you accept federal loans, you need to allow research into medical marijuana and cannabis. And the reason why is because for rescheduling is good. It'll open up a lot of what I've been saying anyway, right? But I think that a bill from the House sent to Senate and then signed by the president does way more than that, because then at that point, as far as like criminal penalties can be where they can go, listen, you don't have to allow weed in your state in the sense of letting business take place, commerce take place, but maybe you're not allowed to charge anybody anymore at a state level. Or if you do, you can just appeal to the federal courts of appeal and we're going to overturn you every time.
Well, see, I mean, some of the problems are going to be if a state chooses not to have cannabis in their state, still, you have to worry about commerce.
One second. Thanks for showing love to the listeners that are here for the live taping of this show. Don't forget, you can catch all of our shows when they are uploaded live, whatever you want to call it, to the podcast world at 4:30 Eastern AM, 2:30 Mountain AM USA. And you can always keep up with Wake and Bake America. You can follow us on podbean.com and you'll always know when we're live because we tape some shows outside of their schedule. So keep up with us. Don't forget, Blunt Football Talk returns this March with our sports show. We also have Newbie and the Doobie. We have, of course, our buddies over at Control Alt Throw Against the Wall, Pop Culture Radio right there, baby. This is Wake and Bake America Radio. Remember that the views and opinions expressed by the hosts of all of our shows are not the opinion of Wake and Bake America, its parent companies and or partners. Thank you for being a fan of the show. Chris, continue on.
I'll try with that long commercial.
Fuck you, man.
Haha, still love you, dude. Look, I mean, we've got to make some type of change. It's inevitable. It's going to happen sooner or later. But the bill that I think you're talking about that needs to be passed in Congress is ultimately still going to be challenging for us.
I agree. I will tell you that I think that it's going to get rescheduled because the DEA has already suggested in their report that that is what needs to happen to move forward. Bottom line, right? So I have no doubt that it's going to get rescheduled. I do believe that, okay? But I do also believe that there's so much more work to be done. And I think that what's a little bit disappointing, because we talked about the do nothing house right now that's led by, unfortunately, look, we call it as we see it. I'm an independent. I just want to repeat that again before I say my next statement, which is the do nothing GOP Congress. Because this Congress so far has been the least productive Congress in nearly 100 years, if not 100 years, right? So I'm extremely concerned because I think that in a stage where a few bills could fix a few problems pretty easily, there are a lot of obstructionists in Congress that even if it's good for the American people, if it makes anyone they don't like look good, they won't do it, right? And I just think that we got to be better than that. And I think we got to be smarter than that. You know what I mean? If that makes better sense.
We need to be smarter voters and get people into these Congresses and that are going to back the American people like they're supposed to and actually get work done in order to move our country forward.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm Trey. This is my dog, Chris. I'm Mr. Trey from Wake and Bake. This is Chris from Wake and Bake. I want to tell you guys that I have really enjoyed our comeback show. And sorry for so much news, headlines, and politics, because that's what we cover. But there was a lot of shit that happened. I mean, there was a Super Bowl champion back-to-back, first time in 20 years. We had shit to do on vacation. But I will tell you guys, I definitely want you guys to return next week. The live taping will be Friday evening, February 23rd, because we're season ticket holders, so we have to go to something the next day. I love being a season ticket holder. So Friday the 23rd, we are going to it's Friday evening. The time is still to be determined, so set up, get alerted when Wake and Bake America show goes live on podbean.com. That show will air the following Monday here on all your favorite podcast servers. Which I believe is Monday the 26th is when it'll air. But you're going to want to be there. Cami Renee is back again for her second show of the season, and she is bringing a, showstopper of a story. Humdinger, I think, is maybe too easy. If you don't know about the Natalia Barnett case, I encourage you to look up the Natalia Barnett case. If you have HBO Max, they don't pay us to tell you this, but that's just where the damn documentary is. We got to tell you where it is, to where you can find it. But it's called the Curious. Isn't it called the Curious Case of Natalia Barnett? I believe is the title, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, live listeners, for the live taping, by the way. And if you're hearing this later on down the road, that's cool too. We love you. All Wake and Bake America show episodes here on Wake and Bake America Radio air every Monday at 4:30 Eastern, 2:30 Mountain, USA. Now, anyway, so check this out, dude. The Curious Case of Natalia Barnett. Now, we are not going to tell you what it's about. We are not going to
watch it.
We're not divulging anything. You need to either watch it or you better get your stanky behind over here to the Wake and Bake America show on the evening of February 23rd, when we'll be taping the episode for the following Monday, because we're going to be talking. Cami Renee returns for her second episode of the season, and she is going to be bringing a case that is, I think the word insane. I think the word inhumane. I think the word just sad, dude. I got teary-eyed in this documentary. As let's just say, as an abused child, I will tell you that hurt to watch this.
Don't spill the beans, Trey. Don't spill the beans.
You know what? If you got HBO Max, go figure it out for yourself. I'm not gonna say nothing else and get myself in trouble with Chris, because he's a boss dog. Yo, me and Chris, I just want to tell y'all, me and Chris, we've been doing radio together for nearly 10 years, almost a decade. And so I just want to tell you guys, we are authentic. We are honest. We may not agree with you. That is fair. You may not agree with us. Even more fair. But we invite your comments. We invite your questions. We invite everything. But I will always tell you that we don't always agree with even each other, let alone you. It's called being human. So come in for the conversation, come in for the talk. Like I said, thanks for being here for the kickoff of coming. For us, it's like our spring kickoff. We're going into spring. We're coming back from winter break. We usually come back for this show right after the Super Bowl weekend, and so it's really exciting for us to come back and get to enjoy the topics that have been gone. But now we're going to get laser focused on some issues over the next few weeks and shows. And if you have an idea for a topic, info at bakeamericashow.com. That's info at in bake. You just basically put our name without the dashes. Wake and Bake America Show. Info at wakeandbakeamericashow.com, and we'll look at your topic and try to incorporate that into our show, because we're very, very serious about our fans and our fan base and our friends and our listeners. We always have been. So thanks again, guys. It has been an amazing show today. Like I said, just so much crazy stuff went on. You know what I think the thing that shocked me the most? I think too, and I think I'm going to surprise you. It has nothing to do with politics per se, right? But everything to do with politics at the same time. The two things that have shocked me the most actually happened this week. I'm not even going to lie to you. It has nothing to do with Trump, so shut up, Chris. No, what shocked me this week was actually Alex Navalny being murdered. Not that he got murdered didn't shock me one bit, because Putin is a horrible person. But what shocked me was that he got killed right before the election. And then, so you see how it kind of involves politics, but it's his murder that I'm talking about. And then the feds charging Alexander Smirnov, the 45-year-old I believe he's an American, for lying to the FBI and falsifying evidence to the FBI that was used in Biden's impeachment. So you see why I'm shocked that I'm not shocked about the impeachment. I mean, politics is a fucked up game, but I'm shocked because that was one of the biggest things that the GOP was really standing on in that investigation. Right?
The main thing
here that it kind of blew up in their face this week. That was kind of crazy to me. So it's politics there, but it's the fact that the evidence was submitted and falsified. Like, just if you have evidence against somebody, let that happen. If you don't, you got to deal with it.
Right.
But to create evidence, that's on to literally create evidence against somebody, you're really at the bottom of the barrel of humanity. If you're willing to literally falsify evidence against somebody. I've always been kind of the old school investigator when I did my investigative work as a journalist. Let them motherfuckers hang themselves. Believe me, most people, if you're spot on and they're really bad people, they'll hang themselves. I've watched it happen a gazillion times as a news investigator. I've watched people say things, do things, think they got away with it. Evidence comes up, whatever. I've seen it a million times, but it's crazy to me how deplorable it is to go create and falsify and make up evidence against anyone. If they're really bad people, they'll hang themselves. And if they're not really bad people, then let it go. You're just wrong about them. It sucks. Sorry. I'm not. And by the way, I just want to be clear. I'm not even talking about Biden at this point. I don't care about that. I'm just talking about falsifying evidence to get somebody in trouble. If they're really bad people, you don't need to make the evidence up. You're basically the level of a dirty cop without being a cop.
Right. Because give them time. They'll hang themselves.
Absolutely. Bad people. I've always said bad people, bad politicians, bad cops, bad everything. No matter what we can say, bad anything. You will hang your fucking self.
Right. And when you lie about so much shit, it's hard to keep track of your lie.
Or worse, falsifying documents. Like, you can't even do that at like a job and keep your job, let alone to the FBI. Holy shit.
Right. That'd be like doing inventory and putting down the wrong numbers.
All I can tell you is I will be interested. So you and I know that, like, when it comes to federal or state level investigations, the coppers, the popo, they are very quick to try to flip somebody into a witness for a lesser sentence, right?
Oh, yeah. The deal.
the deal, the art of the deal. Wink, wink. It is a common practice to flip people against people. I will be very interested to see, and this is just me being a very genuinely investigative-minded person, to go, I'm going to be very interested to see where that goes. Where that goes. Don't forget to heart us in the live show. Don't forget to heart us, like us, follow us. Podbean, your favorite podcast servers like Spotify and iTunes, and we're part of the iHeartRadio family, on the Google family of podcasts, all of it. Wake-in-Bake America Radio. You can find us, our show, and all our other shows right here. Other than that, dude, that was just something that shocked me, was the feds charging a dude this week and then Navalny getting killed. And it's not that I'm shocked because it's new. I'm just more shocked by them because how do you say this?
You've seen it coming.
No. I never think evidence is falsely presented to the FBI until it's proven that way, for one reason. Because what if it is real? What if all this stuff is real? So you have to see, in order to be genuinely independent minded, you have to consider that what each side is presenting could both be real. Who is really real comes out, generally speaking, in an investigation. So I think I'm just more shocked that someone would try to you have to be really dumb to submit fake evidence. Those investigators are gonna figure that out.
To the federal government, nonetheless.
Federal investigators, bro, they put the best of the best at the state level of investigators to shame.
But and that's why they don't lose.
I don't fear state investigators as much as I would fear a federal investigator if I had done something wrong. I'll put it that way. If I had ever done anything like that needed to be investigated criminally from the feds, I'd fucking be shaking in my boots. So I would definitely not lie or submit false evidence to them. That's just, can I just say one more time, insane to me that you would submit false evidence to the FBI, because you have to consider okay, so here's the best part. Arrogant people suck for criminals. That's the truth. Because I'm not arrogant to think that I can just get away with this. I got to believe that this guy thought that his false evidence was so good that they would just bite at it, eat, and go with it, right? Well, the problem is political people did all day, but the investigators have a legal and lawful obligation to prove or disprove that evidence. And when they disprove it, you better be prepared to go to jail for a long time over that. I am not going to a federal penitentiary, so I would never submit evidence to anyone, let alone the feds, that's false. That's crazy talk.
Right, because they're going to dig so deep, your grandma's going to feel it.
Bro, seriously. Well, I do got some bad news. It's that time. We got to go. But don't forget, be back next Friday for the evening for the live taping of The Curious Case of Natalia Barnett. Look that up. Documentary on HBO Max. I don't know whatever it's called now. Like I said, they don't pay me to say it right, so don't have to. If they want to pay me, though, I would. Hey, HBO, get at me, dog. I'm just playing. So I will see you later. Thank you again, guys. This is Chris, and we are, of course, the new anchors of Wake and Bake America show, and we also have Cammie Renee who will be stopping by. We'll have guests, we'll have friends, and so on and so forth, all the way up through the rest of season 8 until we start season 9 in April. And of course, get out of here because we love you. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, what's going on? This the hungry hustling American Dream Afro Man. Wake and Bake America. Yeah, you're chilling with Mr. Ashtray.
That's Mr. Trey, not Ashtray.
You're listening to Mr. Trey, and you know why. Yeah. Yeah.